Hello, and welcome to the inaugural episode of the Queenly Conversations podcast, the space where we learn from our collective journeys, lean into our individual greatness, and level up for the win. My name is Shanita Newton, and I am excited and a bit nervous to be with you today. This has been quite a journey for me, even preparing to launch this podcast. So with that being said, the first episode is titled Just Start. I learned a lot along the way just in preparing for this endeavor, and I would like to share everything that I've learned with you all today. So there are 4 things that I think that you really need to remember when you're starting something new. The first being that when you start, it will not be perfect. I am one of those people that if it's not going to be amazing when I do it, I would rather not. And that can kind of paralyze you, right? You don't ever start something new and it be perfect. In fact, I'd like to take the time to dismiss that word of perfection, right? What we want to do is create something in excellence. And even when you start something, you don't start at the top. You're going to start at the bottom, right? You're not going to start and be an expert. You're not going to be like a subject matter expert where everyone's going to come running to you for advice. You start at the bottom, like the homie Drake says, and work your way up. So the first thing is just to know that while it won't be perfect when you start, if you are consistent and you keep going, then you will get better over time. Each time you'll get better. Each time I record a podcast episode, I expect it to be better than the last one. And so it gives me time to practice, to hone the skills. And at some point, it'll be great. Whatever you set out on, you'll look up and you will be one of the forerunners in whatever it is that you are embarking upon. But you have to be consistent and you have to get started. So the second thing I would like to share is to not allow the regret of not starting sooner distract you from getting started today. So no, you didn't start going to the gym 3 months ago, but you can start today. Yes, you wanted to go to school, but you let years go by to raise your family or to pursue a career, and the idea of going to school is coming back to you. Don't feel guilty about the fact that you didn't start yesterday. You didn't start last week. You didn't start last year. You have the opportunity. As long as you have breath in your body, you still have the opportunity to get started. So take today and run with it. You have greatness within you, and you can do it. Which brings me to my next point, is that you have everything that you need to get started. And I don't mean you have all the money in the world to make sure that your product is like top notch, or that you have all these resources at your disposal to be the biggest and the best. But you do have what you need to get started. If you have a concept, if you have a vision, and it's been placed in your heart to do, then once you make the decision, all the resources that you need to start will fall into place. You'll look up and decide to step out into that business venture, and the clients will come, right? If you make up in your mind that you want to go to school, you'll start seeing what courses you need to take. You'll start seeing what schools you can apply to, and the path will illuminate for you out of nowhere. But you have to make the decision to start. And then just to follow up with that, once you make the decision to start, you have to put in the work. We know that faith without works is dead, and essentially that means you got to put some action behind that belief of yours. And yes, that might be a scary thing because you don't know what you don't know. But here's the thing, you can do it. There is greatness inside of each of us, but we often don't tap into it because we're afraid. And I sit here with my hand raised as a former subject matter expert and allowing fear to paralyze me, y'all, from going after the things that I really wanted because I was afraid of failing. I say all that to encourage you that once you push through the fear and start doing the research and putting things in place to make your start a reality, you realize more and more how attainable it is. and you become that much closer to manifesting your idea. So now that we know we want to start, how do we get started? Well, I'll share some tips with you. The first, and I would say one of the biggest things I did, was to set a deadline for when I wanted to get started. Because otherwise, I would have just had some theoretical concept of something I wanted to do one day in the future, don't know when that's going to be, and never have like a timeline to get it started. So it would never actually come to fruition because I'm not putting things in place because I don't have a deadline. But also, having a deadline helps you to push past the perceived need for having everything to be perfectly aligned in order for you to begin. Because in reality, it's not going to be a perfect situation when you start. There's just never an ideal time to begin a new venture. Like when everything syncs up and now it's the perfect time because I have all my affairs in order and I know, no. In real life, there's never going to be a perfect time. You just have to get started. So once I put my deadline in place, I started to do research. Like I said earlier, just trying to figure out what kind of microphone to purchase, what we were going to upload the podcast to, and what the artwork is going to look like. And I say we. So my next point, get some accountability partners. I'll repeat that real quick. Get you some accountability partners. Those that are 1 or 2 people, maybe 3, that are going to keep you on task, that are going to encourage you, and that are going to push you forward and help you push the ball down the field. I am so grateful for mine. They motivate and encourage me. They hold my feet to the fire. and I just appreciate my team. They know who they are. Shouts out to them. Thank you so much. So the last thing I want to share with you all that I did on this journey to start something new is I began to affirm myself daily, allowing myself to believe that it's something that I can actually do. So there are millions of podcasts in the world, right? Literally. That ain't even an exaggeration. There are millions of podcasts available for people to listen to. And I wanted to share my story and the stories of other people in our community that have overcome obstacles, that have overcome challenges, that are doing great things, who have a story to share, because we are all to be encouraging to one another. And bottom line, there's room for everyone at the table. And if there ain't, I'll just build my own. And so I started to write down, I have a journal that I write all of my goals in. And I started to every night read them out loud for the Lord and everyone under his assembly to hear. Well, I mean, in my household. But the most important thing was I needed to hear it. I needed to hear myself saying out loud what it is that I'm capable of. And while I may be afraid or intimidated by it, the more I say it out loud, the more I speak it, and I hear in my own voice what it is that is in my heart to do, the less intimidating it became, the more attainable it became, the more capable and empowered I felt to even get started. So I would say to make sure that you are affirming yourself daily, that you are sharing your dreams with some accountability partners that you can trust to keep you accountable and that are going to encourage you and push you forward. And then that you set a deadline so that you can take that gift, that idea, that dream that's in your heart and share it with the world because it's waiting on it and it needs you. Today's final thought comes from a quote from the Oprah Winfrey. The great courageous act that we must all do is to have the courage to step out of our history and past so that we can live our dreams. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Queenly Conversations podcast. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts or whatever platform you are using to listen in today. It helps other queens to find and join our tribe. You can also follow me on Instagram at Queenly_Convos. That's QUEENLY_CONVOS. Until next time, continue to shine, Queen. Talk to you soon.